All right. Let me share. All right. Go ahead and take it away, Paula.
Well, welcome everyone to the second webinar sponsored by Marshall Financial, supporting the Bucks 5K series. This is the second year we've done this, and tonight hoping to once again share some valuable tips to prepare for the race. And we're also going to have an opportunity to talk to the different race directors to get information about each of the next 5 races in the series. So I'm Paula Nangle. I'm the president of Marshall Financial Group here in Doylestown. We have been one of the sponsors for a number of years. And I'm happy.
No, I had.
I think somebody needs to mute themselves. Yeah, so it's going to be a nice informal presentation tonight. We have Dr. Johnny King-Marino is going to share some tips on staying healthy during running. And we have Dr. Sarah Coy who's going to share some nutrition tips tonight. And then we'll have a chance to talk to each of the race directors, and hopefully at the end have some time for Q&A. So, Colleen, you want to bring up the agenda? Or I guess I could just say a few things about Marshall Financial. That's a picture of our building here in town. We're on the corner of Court Street and Harvey. We've been in the community for over 40 years, providing sound financial advice to families, entrepreneurs, business owners. And we are fee only, we're fiduciaries, and we've been helping our clients for decades, going through pretty much every transition in life you can think of. So with that, I'd like to move along to the next slide. Keep us on. Okay, so here's an overview of the agenda. First, we're going to hear from Dick Patterson, who is the coordinator oversees the Bucks 5K series, tell you a little bit about the background and all the accomplishments. I've already introduced myself, and then we will have an opportunity to hear from Sarah Coy, Dr. Sarah Coy, on fueling for your race. And then we'll introduce Dr. Johnny King-Marino, who will talk about becoming a stronger runner. And then we will meet the race directors. And then at the end, hopefully have some time for Q&A. So with that, I'd like to introduce Dick Patterson. I'll let you take it away, Dick.
Okay. I am president of the Bucks 5K series. And the series had a very humble beginning. 27 years ago, 2 local races ended up with their races on the same day. So then all the local races said, we can't let that happen again. So let's form an organization to schedule races so we don't get into conflict again. And from that, the Bucks 5K series grew. We quickly became a registered 501(c) nonprofit organization and started raising some money on our own to help the races. What the series does now is we assume many of the common expenses of the races. For example, timing is a big cost. The bibs and the chips are a big cost. We do common advertising. We do registration. So we do a lot of the work. We take it off the backs of the races, so that the races are free to earn as much money as they possibly can. Over the years, our local businesses and organizations have donated money to the series and become series sponsors. So our budget has actually been able to grow. So in addition to assuming the common expenses, we also are able to give some money back to each one of the race organizations. From that humble beginning, we now have about 2,000 runners who register for our races. And here's the number that we're so proud of. The series and the races have earned $2 million in the last 20 years for our various nonprofit organizations. That's my pitch.
Well, that's quite an accomplishment, and really, something to really be proud of. And all of the thousands of hours of volunteer work from, the Bucks 5K series itself and each of the individual races and all the volunteers. So it's a wonderful community event, which is one of the reasons we love to be part of it as a sponsor. So with that, I'd like to introduce Dr. Sarah Coy. She's with Advanced Spine and Sports Medicine here in Doylestown, works with Dr. Johnny King-Marino. And Sarah, I'll let you say a little bit about your background. I know you are a recent graduate of Northeast College of Health and Sciences, and you're also getting certified as a clinical nutritionist, and have quite a impressive background as an athlete, and look forward to hearing some of your fueling tips.
Thank you for the introduction, Paula. And thanks everyone for having me here. I'm excited to be around. Like Paula said, I am graduated from Northeast College of Health Sciences as a chiropractor, where I'm currently getting my degree in Masters of Clinical Nutrition. And I went to the University of Maine, where I played softball. So after softball ended, I was looking for something else to do and started gradually running. So I'm excited to become a part of the 5K series, and you'll be seeing me out there this year. So with that being said, I'm just going to talk a little bit about nutrition and why it's important to focus on fueling our body properly for our runs. So you can go to the next slide, please. Diet and nutrition are going to be important for overall health, promoting proper performance, and aiding in recovery. I think it's important to mention from the start that fueling and hydration is going to vary depending on the individual. And it's going to take a lot of trial and error. So what works for someone may not work for someone else. So these are all just kind of general recommendations. In general, our body is going to use both macro and micronutrients for energy to fuel us through our runs. Our macronutrients are going to be our carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, and our micronutrients are going to be vitamins and minerals. In order for our body to actually use this energy, it has to be transferred to an immediate fuel source called ATP. And it's going to do that through either aerobic or anaerobic metabolism. So it might sound like kind of big words. Some people might be familiar with this. But when we're talking about running, we're going to be more so talking about aerobic metabolism, which is using our oxygen. So that being said, to get this energy, one of the better sources for this fuel is going to be carbohydrates. This is because carbohydrates are more efficient at the energy producing pathways than our fat stores or protein from muscles. So I'm going to talk a little bit about carbohydrates as well as fluid intake that are going to be important for sustaining optimal energy levels during runs. So you can go to the next slide, please. This is just a little infographic that again kind of explains what's going on when we initially start working out. So initially, if you're just doing a 10 to 15 second sprint, that's going to be anaerobic metabolism. And that's just the way the body produces energy without the use of oxygen. But when we're talking about a 5K, we're going a little longer. So we're going to be in that 2 to 3 minute and beyond range. And the body is therefore going to use aerobic metabolism, which uses oxygen to produce energy. So you can go to the next slide, please. Again, this is another chart that I like because it kind of shows a visual of what's going on. So when we are running, because we're all runners, not jogging, the preferred fuel source we're going to be using is glucose. So glucose is going to come in the best form primarily from simple carbohydrates found in our body. This is because simple carbs have something what's called a high glycemic index. So it just means that the body's able to metabolize these nutrients and use the glucose quickly. Glucose is stored in our body as something called glycogen, which we may have heard of before. And glycogen is going to be found in our muscles and as well as our liver. It's just important to note that that glycogen storage after a certain amount of time is depleted, which is why we want to think about fueling in ways to already kind of put us at an advantage in a sense to have the glycogen stores ready as well as available blood glucose to use to be able to keep us running fast. So you can go to the next slide. And again, this is just a graphic kind of showing where things are coming from and how they're playing a role in both anaerobic and aerobic metabolism. And for our 5K series and any longer runs, we're looking more at the aerobic metabolism portion. So you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So from here, I break it down into before, during, and after a run, just kind of understanding why do we need to be fueling and then what we can be fueling, as well as timing wise of what we're fueling with, because you may be new at running, you may be very experienced. Either way, you may have experienced before eating something and not feeling too great. So we want to provide ways to minimize that as best as possible. So before a run, why should we fuel? This is just basically going to be able to top those blood glucose levels as well as glycogen levels and to just delay fatigue. This is going to depend a lot based on how much time we have. So I know sometimes some of these races are starting very early in the morning. I don't expect many people to be up 1 to 2 hours before. So if you only have 30 to 60 minutes before a run, focus on some sort of small snack that is primarily made up of simple carbohydrates. So something like a piece of fruit, a handful of pretzels, maybe a gummy, something that you have done before, and during training, you can kind of experiment with this. Again, this is because the simple carbs are easy to digest and they're going to provide us with quick blood glucose levels that we can use to fuel us through the run. If you do have more time, say on a day you're training or a later race, you can still focus on higher carbs as well as moderate protein. And again, still focusing on a low fat fiber, either small meal, larger snack that's easy to be digested. You can go to the next slide. So during, this is going to be primarily more for longer runs. I think it's just important to mention if you are training for something longer or incorporating some longer runs in your 5K training, it's important to note that glycogen stores, which is our storage form of blood glucose, is going to be depleted within about 90 minutes of running. So if you know you're doing a longer run, it's important to start fueling earlier than those 90 minutes because we want to combat that before the stores are actually depleted. Examples of ways to fuel can be sports drinks, energy gels, energy bars, or other simple carbohydrate snacks. And I highly recommend playing around with a trial and error as you're training during that. And you can go to the next slide. So I like this little infograph. It's just showing you again that the rule of thumb, nothing new on race day, definitely stays the same. So you want to, just as you're training for your runs, you want to train with your nutrition. I know some people may struggle with trying to incorporate fuel either pre-run or during their run. So I think this is a great way to show that you can slowly start with a little bit of carbohydrates and increase from there. This can also be applied to your pre-run fuel. So if you're not used to eating before a run, you can try starting off with a quarter of a piece of fruit, see how you tolerate it during your run, and then go from there. And you can go to the next slide, please. So after a run, why is this important? It's going to be important to replenish those lost energy stores, especially the glycogen supply after exercise, as well as to promote optimal recovery. So there's something called a glycogen window, and this is the brief period of time after a run that the body is essentially most open to intake of carbohydrates, which is going to directly replenish those glycogen stores, which is going to aid in quicker recovery times and help you feeling better on your runs. This time is about 0 to 20 minutes after you run. So it's recommended that you have a small snack in that time period composed of some simple carbohydrates and protein. And then you can go to the next slide. So here I just made up a little mock race day example. Race day for a 5K can start the night before with a balanced dinner, focusing on higher carbohydrates, a moderate lean protein, and some fats. One great example is if you tolerate it, having some salmon, which is high in something called omega-3 fatty acids, which helps to decrease inflammation. Again, hydration is also very important. So make sure you're hydrating the day before. And you can even have electrolyte tablets the night before, as well as during race day. Like I previously mentioned, nothing new on race day. You don't want to try anything that might disrupt your stomach and lead to the opposite effects of what we're trying to do with nutrition, which is make you feeling great and fuel you through the runs. Again, on race day, timing is going to be totally dependent on what time the race starts. If you're having a 7:45 start time, you may not want to be waking up 1 to 3 hours early to get a big meal in. But you can aim for a pre-race snack about 30 to 60 minutes before. Again, it could be a piece of fruit, a half a piece of bagel, some jam on that with those simple carbohydrates. And then after the race, this again is going to depend on your goals, but it's definitely important to eat a balanced meal, focusing on protein, fats, and carbs. And here you can start to incorporate some fruits and veggies, which are going to be rich in antioxidants, which can help with the recovery process as well. And you can also focus in more on those complex carbs, which takes longer to digest, which is why we wouldn't want to introduce them before running. You can go to the next slide, please. So that's all I have. The last note I'll say is definitely focusing in on hydration as well. The amount is going to depend on the length of the run, your body weight, sweat rate, as well as any environmental conditions. And otherwise, the rule of thumb is try to start training your nutrition like you're training for your races. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for having me, and I look forward to seeing everyone at the races.
Thank you, Sarah. That was a lot of great information, and hopefully make everyone feel strong and well nourished and great for each race day. I think now we're going to bring on Dr. Johnny King-Marino, who is the founder of Advanced Spine and Sport Medicine, and also title sponsor of the Bucks 5K series. So thank you for that, Dr. Johnny. And we were chatting before the webinar started that Dr. Johnny told us that he actually changed the name of his practice last year. And so I asked him to say just a few words about that, because I've been a patient of the practice on and off during my triathlon career, which I'm now retired from, at least temporarily. There's a lot more than chiropractic that gets offered at the practice. So I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Johnny.
You're overdue for a checkup, Paul. I just want to let you know that you're way overdue. Thank you, Paul, for having me here, and also Dr. Sarah. Awesome job. You were great. Dick, thank you for bringing us all together. I'm really excited about being here. We're going to talk about becoming a stronger runner. Strength is not always measured in how much weight you can lift. It's sometimes measured in your ability to perform, and running, it could be going faster, it could be going longer, it could be going the same, but with less effort. So it's important to set your own standards. A lot of people get wrapped up in what other people are doing with their races I think we'll talk about being a happy runner today and some ways to accomplish that. So can we have the next slide, please? Oh, that's me. Oh my goodness. So anyway, let me tell you a little bit about the practice. The practice has evolved over the year from a 670 square foot office in North Wales Borough with steps and all sorts of craziness to our now 5,500 square foot Doylestown location in Hyde Park, as well as our location in Washington Crossing. My goal always was to take care of runners and other athletes. As a young runner, I was injury prone, and there were really not doctors that were interested in taking care of me. They were looking to do surgery. They were looking to take care of the football players, you know, the big money sports. And I remember going to Philadelphia to a specialist and waiting like 2.5 hours to see him. And he blew my appointment off. And he sent a couple of the residents in and had me touch my toes and sent me home. And I said, you know what? There needs to be someone who takes care of these wear and tear injuries, these injuries that don't require surgery. And I decided at a very young age, this was what I was going to do. So we have evolved over the years, taking care of like world record holders and Olympians and Boston Marathon champions and high school kids. But I love the little 7-year-olds at the CYO from the Amber Olympic. And we take care of triathletes and civilians. And what I tell the civilians are, like, we call them civilians, people who don't really compete in sports. If we can get a football player back on a field in like a couple of days, we can probably get you back to work to sit at your desk in a couple of days as well. So anyway, thank you for letting me share that. I'm very excited about our new practice. So we do have an interesting device for runners called an Alter G. It's a low gravity treadmill that you can get into, which takes up to 80% of your body weight off, which is great for recovery. Or if you have an injury and still need to train, you can run on that without risk of injury. I'm excited about that and many other things we do. So just check us out at jkmhealth.com. So thanks. And next slide, please. So there's a lot of benefits of running. One of the best benefits that isn't mentioned here is you make a lot of friends running. And if you're fast, you might make some enemies too, but you make a lot of friends. And it's a great group of people that are a lot like you, that have common goals. But in terms of your health, you can get a healthy heart. Runners have one of the best cardiovascular systems in the world, healthy bones. And you often hear like, oh, don't run, it'll mess up your bones and your joints. But the fact is that runners have one of the lowest incidence of joint replacement of any athlete. It's a sedentary population that winds up having those issues. It boosts your immunity. We all know, like when we exercise, we feel better. That's the feeling of wellness, just feeling better about yourself. That alone boosts your immunity, plus the enhanced cardiovascular and lymphatic drainage you get through that. It's a stress reliever for most of us. Some of us get a little too wrapped up and running becomes a job. It makes me sad. Running is your hobby. No one's paying you to run unless you're like the top 2%, 0.2%. So, you know, I try to caution people to make it fun and enjoy it and really, really enjoy all the benefits of it. It does boost brain function. I don't know that my staff would agree with that since I'm running a lot, but it does help boost your brain function. Exercise in general does, and running is one of the best ways to boost brain function because you produce a lot of endorphins and enkephalins. These are pain relievers that make you feel better, but it also increases the blood flow to your brain and the rest of your body. Definitely helps with weight loss, unless you go running 5 miles and then you eat like 12,000 calories because you thought you earned it, but generally it helps you keep your weight down. It burns fat. No exercise burns fat. And interesting, as Dr. Sarah touched on, if you look at her slides, running slower actually burns more fat than other things. But once you hit the 90-minute mark, as she said, you're out of fuel. So your body has two choices: burn fat or produce energy from what you're adding to your body now or other stores. So other things that it reduces your risk of stroke, cancer, diabetes, and it helps with aging. Like nothing. I mean, when I go to my class reunion, I think I'm in the wrong year sometimes because there's so many obese and sedentary people that they just don't look that great. So it will help you sleep better, unless you're worrying about your race the next day. And that's, but it does help you sleep better. And as I said earlier, you get to meet new people, and that's the greatest thing. I've made so many friends and contacts and wonderful people along the road. It's just fabulous. So next slide, please. I always talk about making running fun. Now, I'm a simple man, and I've been doing this since I'm 9, and I'm now 61, and I still love it. So how many things do people do for over 50 years that they still love with the same passion? So one of the ways to do that is keeping it fun and not putting a lot of stress on it. A lot of people say I'm slow. The really slow person is on the couch that never showed up to the run. People who run, even like the slowest person in our group, is superhuman compared to the sedentary population. They have no idea how they do it. So I think it's important to run with friends or group. And this is where I'll put the plug in for the Bucks County Roadrunners. I'm the president of the Bucks County Roadrunners, and we have a fabulous group. And we have group runs everywhere with slow people, fast people, and everyone in the middle. And you get to learn from them. You get to find out what they do. And it's a great social circle. It's also helps keep you in line. Like this morning, I was really tired, but I was meeting two friends at the track. And if I didn't show up to run at the track with them, even though I'd rather be sleeping instead of there at 7 a.m., they would talk about me. They would say terrible things, and you can't defend yourself if you're not there. So having a group, it's like a compliance officer for you. One of the things you could do is a scavenger run. You could create that yourself. Next Sunday at the Washington Crossing office, the Roadrunners are going to have their annual Easter egg hunt, where it's an adult Easter egg hunt, where we put Easter eggs out with different prizes in them. And if you touch it, you own it. And each person can only get a proportional amount of eggs based on the number of people that show up. And some of them have candy, and some of them have maybe some gift certificates, and there could even be a couple bottles of wine or beer and certificate in one of those, but it's fun. If you can see, there's a map design. You could create a crazy map design. Most people have GPS watches now, and you could create, this looks like an amoeba over here. And then you could make a map of your favorite state. That's kind of fun. It's also, you could do a virtual run. You could run in the rain or snow. I love running in the snow. People think I'm crazy, but the sound of your feet hitting that snow and that crunch that you can't get anywhere else, it's great. And it always feels warmer than the regular temperature when it's snowing. I also like running in the rain. And it sounds crazy, but you're sure to be the only runner out there most of the time, so you don't have a lot of traffic in your way. So, and a new location. People get kind of fixed on the same spots, and definitely there's a comfort in running a usual course. However, running in a new spot and a beautiful spot kind of invigorates you. I think that's really important. Next slide, please. If you have a friend or family member or someone you want to make a tribute to, you could actually run and make a map drawing out their name. You could dedicate your run to someone. It doesn't have to be a race. You'll often see people will do races in honor of someone. When my brother passed, I ran the Boston Marathon in his honor, and I swear to God, I think he was running for me. Try running at a different time of day. Like, people get into a thing where they, have to get up at 5:30 in the morning. Try running in the afternoon. Try running at lunch. It's okay to run at lunch. People say, well, I don't have a shower. A wet towel and deodorant will do the trick. I promise you. I've been doing it for years. And I find it actually helps me stay on schedule if I don't do a good job, because the patients want to leave the room a lot sooner. You could also remember why you started running. Like, why did you start running to lose weight? Did you start running to get healthier? A lot of people start that way, and later on their running evolves into something completely different. It evolves into something fabulous. It's a way to make friends. It's a way to be out in nature. There's so many different reasons, but remember why you started and who you were when you started, and then you move forward and you see the different person you become. Run at a location of your first run race. I love going back to my high school and running on the track. Only when I ran there, it was a cinder dirt piece of crap, and now it's 8 lanes of all-weather beauty, but it's still kind of fun to be there. And celebrate you. You could run your age on your race day, which I have to do in yards at this point. I'm getting so old, but you can run it in meters. You can run it in laps. If you're turning 50 laps around the track, or 5.0 miles, something like that, or for a spouse or a significant other, you could do the same thing. Next slide, please. Have a goal. It's important to have goals. And there's a lot of great to having goals, but there's also sometimes, if you want to have fun, people create goals that are unrealistic. I want to run every day of the year. I want to set a personal best in every event from the mile to the marathon. I want to lose 100 pounds. Set realistic goals. That's something that's easily attainable, and set a series of goals, not just one. So like if your goal is to run a marathon or run a 5K in under 25 minutes, you may want to start with, hey, I want to run 25 minutes by the time we get to break fast, but I know at booking for looking, if I get 23, I'll get 27, I'll be closer to that 25. So set periodic goals and set them for different things, goals for how to achieve that. There are areas that everyone needs to work on. Like I love running on a track. I was at CB West grinding out 800-meter repeats today. People hate it. Now I need to do more long runs or longer intervals. I don't like those as much. So I have to force myself to do that. And then you have to force yourself to do things you don't like. You have to get out of your comfort zone. And that's really important. Do you have enough time to reach your goal? If you're running 30 minutes for a 5K now and you have 2 months, are you really going to get to 20? Probably not. So be realistic. There's something great about chopping up your goals into itty bitty pieces. So as you reach one, you can celebrate and write your goals down. I think it's really important to have them somewhere where you can read them and look at them and know what you're striving for. And make sure that goal is, as I said before, realistic and attainable. Next slide, please. There's lots of ways to get faster, but you don't have to. Your goal could be completing all of the races in the 5K series or finishing, Broad Street run. You don't have to get faster. Maybe your goal could be to have more joy in your running or finish every race with a big smile or just not get injured or something like that. You don't have to get faster. As I age, inevitably, I'm not getting faster, but I'm having just as much fun. And I set realistic goals based on my age, my peer group and national standards. So it's fun like that. But there is ways to continue to get faster, get fast compared to who you are now and what your capabilities are. Speed work, as I said before, is one of the best ways, and it's what people avoid the most. That's getting on a track and doing repeat intervals, like a 400-meter repeat pretty quick with a minimal recovery, and do several of them, or do mile repeats or something like that. There's fartlek, and that sounds obscene. It actually means speed play. And that's doing speed work off the track on a trail or on the road where you vary your pace. You might do 5 2-minute repeats and then go for 5 minutes hard and do a minute and 30. And it's kind of fun because you can do whatever you want. You can make it up yourself, but it challenges your body. There's tempo runs, threshold runs, negative split runs. Negative split run doesn't mean you just broke up with someone and you're really upset. What a negative split is, you get it? I'm sorry, that was terrible. A negative split is when you run the second part of your run faster than the first part. And I try to tell runners, although they won't listen, almost every world record that's been set in distance events has been set with a negative split. And yet people just fly out in the first part of the race and then watch a parade passing by as they tucker out. So go slow in the beginning and move it up. But you need to practice doing that in your training, where you go out a little easier on your tempo run or your group run, and you build that up. Build strength. You can build strength from weightlifting, hill repeats, things like that. And you have to increase your endurance. And that's just by putting more miles in, and then putting miles in at a certain pace. One of the big things, if you look on the other side of this slide, is improving your running form. I just love going to races and watch people run, because it's like people's form is all over the map. You have people that look like gazelles. You have people who are taking tiny little steps. You have people who are loping. And what I say to people is that they don't really study form. If you're going to take up tennis, you're going to go read a book about tennis. You'll probably get tennis lessons. And if you're going to take up golf, you're going to get Golf Digest. You're going to read that. And people think if you buy a pair of running shoes, you know how to run. And there is certain forms that create a lower incidence of injury and make you more efficient and faster with the same amount of effort. Like heel strikers who are way back on their heels are putting a ridiculous amount of force in their body, and they're actually breaking, rolling, and lifting. And then people way up on their toes are bouncing so high that they're creating, too much vertical energy. And there's people who are leaning forward, people are leaning backward. So I recommend something called pose running, POSE, or one of those other techniques. But study your form, have somebody look at it, talk to someone who knows how to run. It's something to work on to create a lot less energy use for the same amount of pace or faster. Run with someone slightly faster than you. That's getting easier and easier for me as I get older. But also run with someone slower than you. I think that most of the people who are not getting faster are training too hard, not hard enough. They're training too hard on their easy days and that they have nothing left for their hard days. So if you train with someone slower and you promise not to pressure them, you could have just a wonderful run where you're just running to enjoy yourself, smelling the fresh air, and you're still getting a great aerobic workout, and you're going to burn more fat that way than pushing yourself. And then we'll talk a little bit about a pre-warm up and post run stretch technique a little later. Next slide, please. All right, what is a tempo run? People are asking me what a tempo run is, and it is a run set at a specific pace based on your ability. And you'll see that you'll see that it's like 20 seconds slower than your 5K pace. I've seen it as saying as 10% less than your 10K pace. The difference is everyone's faster. So if someone's running a 5K at 5 minutes and they're running 20 seconds slower, it's very different than someone running 10 minutes. They would have to go 40 seconds slower to have the same effect percentage-wise. So it's different for everyone. I kind of tell them to go by feel. It's a pace you can maintain, but you're not sprinting. It's like not as fast as you do a 5K, but certainly you know, a little faster than you would do a half marathon or something like that. So it's a good effort, but you're able to maintain it. And they're up for 20 minutes up to 25 minutes. And it's a great way to train where you're not pinned down to the track and like killing yourself. You just feel great and exhilarated after a workout. And I think it's one of the missing ingredients. A lot of people will hit the track, they'll do the long runs, but those medium distance runs where they get to really challenge their, you know, aerobic threshold, they don't seem to get. Next slide, please. Build strength and balance. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. The reason people aren't improving almost always is because they go too hard on their easy days and they have nothing left for their hard days. You have to go easy. So there's a match. You do have to train hard. If you're not ready to get uncomfortable, you're never going to get faster. And for some of us, we don't want to get faster. We just want to be able to complete that. So this might not really be relevant to you. But if you want to improve your pace and your form, you're going to need to do hard days, but you also are going to have recovery days and not apologize for them. I had a patient come in and say, I only ran 17 miles yesterday. I was supposed to do 20. I said, I'm going to repeat that to you in a crowd of people. I want to hear what you said. Like, I only ran 17 miles. It's insane. So you have to go easy on your easy days, hard on your hard days, and there is some stuff in the middle. But the best way to have the energy for your more sustained efforts and your harder efforts is to give yourself a break, turn your watch off. And that's a real problem because everyone has the Garmin now, right? And they have Garmin Connect. So they finish the run. As soon as they hit their watch, everyone in the world knows how fast or slow they went, you know, and they go, what happened to you today? Why were you running so slow? Don't worry about that. Disconnect from Strava and Garmin on your slow days if you need to emotionally, and just get out there and have fun and let your body recover. Especially, we have a lot of masters runners here. The older you get, the more important it is to have your recovery days and even off days. So that's very important. Next slide, please. Become a stronger runner by becoming a stronger person. One of the biggest things that runners miss out on is working their upper body and their core and their legs using weights. If you're over 40 and you're not lifting, you're losing your competition. You must do that. As we get older, we don't have the same percentage of muscle mass unless we work it. A 140-pound runner, if he ran 80 miles a week from age 20 to age 40, at age 20, he would be about 10% body fat. And if he weighed 140 when he was 40, he'd be about 15% body fat. As we age, we lose muscle mass. So it's very important to work the back, work the core, work the leg muscles, and the upper body. You run with your whole body. You're not just running on your feet. You're running on your legs. You're using your upper extremities. And the weaker these areas are and the weaker your core is, the more efforts you're going to have to sustain during the 5K. I mean, we've all experienced in these shorter runs where you're really flying in and your back's tying up and your lungs are on fire and your arms are tired. And this is because we're not working those areas. So get with a personal trainer. I don't need to tell you guys about this stuff. There's plenty of information, but you need to work your abs, your hips, your glutes. You need to do some plyometrics, some burpees, some mountain climbers, have some fun. Go to one of those HIIT classes or something like that. Try some different things. Next slide, please. You need to become comfortable with being comfortable. If you are afraid, and you don't have to, but people will ask me to come here to tell you how to get faster. You're not willing to get uncomfortable and push past your limits. And, you know, I was running with someone on a track today. I hate doing track workout. I get everything I need on my long run, but it's not true unless if you're going to complain that you're not improving. Like, people will stay at about the same level because they keep doing what they love to do, not what they need to do. So you have to get uncomfortable. You have to like push your body to different limits in training, or you won't be able to do that in a race. Next slide, please. And lastly, we're almost done. I don't want to wear out my welcome here. So warming up and warming down tends to be age graded. Like when I go to a track meet, these kids are out there stretching, bounding, running. It seems like they're doing the warm-ups longer than I run. And then after the race, the same thing. I tell people if they have a pet, to watch their pet. Now, I have 3 pets. I have a cat. It just won't die. I'm just kidding. It's cute. But I have 2 dogs. And you have a cat or you have a dog, you'll notice when they get up, what do? Each and every time they do a little stretch. They'll stretch their hips out, they'll stretch their body. They don't do 45 minutes of yoga every time they get up. But if you threw a ball across the room, that dog or cat would jump up and sprint and not get hurt. What we lack is the ability to move our bodies periodically through the day. So we'll sit at a desk for 8 hours without moving, and then we'll try to undo that with 45 minutes of stretching. I beg people to stretch periodically through the day. A lot of people don't want to stretch because they don't have that 45 minutes. I'd rather have a foam roller like this by your desk and just do 2 minutes every hour. Or when you get up from your desk to use the bathroom or get a glass of water or go to a meeting, just put your foot on the chair, stretch there, put your other foot on the chair, turn your body around, just move a little bit, but move periodically, especially in, the fact that we're all on Zoom meetings and at desks all the time. And even guys who are heavy laborers doing like carpenters and people like that, they're leaning over, hitting a hammer, like they need to go back, stretch, move their bodies. It's important to just change what your positioning is as frequently as possible. I'm a big fan of the foam roller, even more than stretching, especially before. I think it works better. If you go to our website, jcamhealth.com, and the resources, we have videos of how to do foam roller exercises for just about every part of your body. And I recommend just 5 minutes at a time, several times a day. If you only have 90 seconds, just roll out your quads. In the next 90 seconds, maybe get your hamstring. The next 90 seconds, you get your glutes or your piriformis. So I think it's really important to do that. You don't want to bring the damage or wearing out of your body into your next workout. And the best way to not do that is just to spend a few minutes on your foam roller and do some basic stretches. Also on the website under resources are all the various stretches you can do. And this webinar and last year's webinar will be on that as well. So anyway, I thank you for your time. I'll be available to answer questions after. Thank you, Paul and Dick and everybody else. And the floor is yours, Paul. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Johnny. That was a lot of great information. I haven't been running in a while, but I'm feeling like I'm all pumped up to start up again. And I got my foam roller over there in the corner.
I'm showing up. I'm taking you out for a run, Paul. You're gone. We're getting you back. We're getting you back at it.
Make sure it's one of your slow recovery days.
All right.
So now we'd like to spend some time with the race directors. And do we have a slide showing the order here? Yeah. All right. So we have Bill on the line for talk about Booking for Looking, which is coming up right here on April 23rd.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. So yeah, we're looking forward to Booking for Looking coming up, our 10th anniversary coming up this year. Really excited about that. We've got a good race ahead for us. We've got a pizza truck there, Kona Pizza. We're going to have music there. We will have an exciting and dramatic finish for people who love the drama of you run for all the hills of the park of Tyler Park in Bucks County, finish on the track. So that's really nice there. And we've been supporting 2 great organizations for years to combat the visually impaired and the blind. So we've got the Bucks County Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, and also the Guiding Eyes for the Blind, which provides service dogs for individuals. We have lots of different age groups to run. Oh, great. Thank you for the pictures. Great. We left-hand top corner happened to show that we had a pretty nice COVID start. We'll probably do the same thing again with the staggered start and shoots and things like that And then looks like our founder in the center bottom, Mark McCowan, finishing on the track with his service dog, and lots of other folks having fun as well. So we look forward. Hopefully you guys can come out, and it should be a good morning.
So thank you, Bill. Now, Justin, you want to talk a little bit about the YMCA Bucks County Strong 5K?
Sure, would love to. Colleen or Paula, quick change of plans. Can you release your screen share? I do have different, thank you so much. I do have a different slide deck I want to share with everybody. Improved, I should say, from where we last had it. So I'm just gonna go real fast. And I think everybody, can you give me a thumbs up? Dick, if you can give me a thumbs up, if you can see our screen that says Nicole and I up there. Can you give a thumbs up?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Everybody, so happy to see you all, and welcome to the YMCA Bucks County Strong 5K and 1 mile fun run. Nicole and I, co-race directors, we're back for the first time since 2019. Absolutely thrilled to be back with you. Nicole, and actually where the race is taking place is right across the street where we work at the YMCA Bucks County Doylestown branch. Nicole, if you want to jump in and say a couple words, and then I'll take it from there.
No, just wanted to jump in, say thanks for having us. This is the first year that we are going live since COVID. We're excited to be bringing it back. Justin and I co-leading for the first year, learning a ton from the Bucks 5K series group. Extremely grateful to be here and to share a love with running with everyone. So looking forward to seeing everyone out here with us on May 15th for the Bucks County Strong 5K.
I can't say it any better than you just did, Nicole, but some of the things that we really want you to know, 100% of the proceeds that we generate from the YMCA Bucks County Strong 5K, a part of this race series, for the YMCA Bucks and Hunterdon counties, we rely on a charitable support to ensure, and we'll say this time and time again, that no one is turned away because their ability to pay at the Y and the services that we offer here. So your participation in this changes people's lives. It changes your life as a runner, and it changes the many, many lives of your community members and your neighbors in our county here. In addition, we offer many pathway programs at the YMCA Bucks and Hunterdon counties. Those pathway programs includes programs that support our veterans, our cancer survivors, those with mental health issues. The list goes on. And guess what? Every single one of those pathways, doesn't that sound like the runners that are joining us at the start and finishing with us at the end on May 15th? The reason why Nicole are in our workout clothes and in our hats right now, Johnny, I love the fact that you were at Central Bucks West High School earlier today. We actually just ran the course earlier today. It is a beautiful course. It's a gorgeous course. Elevation gain, if my Garmin Connect is correct, it's 57 feet. So whether you're a first time runner, it's easy. If you've done this before, you're going to set a PR. 57 feet is the elevation gain, which is nothing. Start is flat and fresh pavement right at the school. Midpoint takes you through beautiful lower state roads. So if you need to find that zen, look no further than the halfway point. We'll get you to that finish line, which of course is at the gorgeous track at Central Bucks War Memorial Field, which has a stadium finish. So bring your fans, bring your cheer squad. They will be there, and we will be there with over 100 plus volunteers to bring you home for that finish line trellis. Next, just some imagery of obviously what to expect on race day. As mentioned, the fun run is at 9, the 5K is at 9:30. Why race with us? There's multiple options for the whole family. It doesn't matter how old you are, we've got a race for you and a distance for you. We do have what we call stay and play, childcare while you run. That will be at our Doylestown YMCA. So if you've got little ones that don't necessarily want to cheer you on, I've never seen that, but we'll certainly bring them inside where there's childcare staff to entertain them, where they will work on arts and crafts, a finisher arts and craft for you to give you an incentive to cross that line. Live DJ entertainment. We will have an MC, so get ready to hear your name cross as you cross the finish line. You've put the work in, we're going to recognize you for it. We will have pre-race Zumba and post-race cool-down flow yoga. Dick, I don't know with the award ceremony. I know that starts at 10:30. I don't know if I could do yoga with you, but hopefully everybody else can get that in, as we'll make sure we give you that post-race stretch in addition to the pre-race heart warm-up with Zumba. You can see here, everybody gets a finisher medal. We're upping the ante this year. We will have, as you can see what the shirts look like, we will have post-race awards. It is a surprise what that will look like, but the post-race awards for those finishers in our masters, our age group, and overall winners will complement, as this is a series, a lot of the post-race awards you'll find in other races as well. That's a lot. It's then time to celebrate. 12 o'clock, meet us at the after party celebration at Station Tap House. The more the merrier. You put the work in, let's go toast and cheers to it. So looking forward to seeing everybody on May 15th. And Colleen, I'm going to stop the screen share. Appreciate the pivot, and we'll go back to the regular deck.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Nicole. Looks like another great race as usual. Really feel the excitement building for the whole Bucks 5K series. And turn it over to Chris Boger, who's the president of Discover Doylestown and also coordinating the Doylestown 5K race.
Hey everybody, thanks for having us tonight. So for those of you guys who don't know, our race has become a Memorial Day tradition for Bucks, Montgomery, and our neighboring counties for just about 30 years. This year is year 29. The race benefits two nonprofits, Discover Doylestown, of which I am the volunteer president. We put forth events like the Arts Festival, the Pride Festival, this year's 108th tree lighting celebration, townwide cleanup days, and many, many, many calendar dates full beyond that, as well as Our Lady Mount Carmel School, which is where our race course actually kicks off, is right outside the church on Maple Ave. And you're good to go to the next slide, Colleen, when you're ready. There we go. So just a little bit of a background. Back in 1993, the 5K actually started as a food, fun, and fitness festival. We had just a little under 400 runners for that very first year. Shortly thereafter, back in the 90s, my well, at the time, he was my future father-in-law, Brian Boger, was one of our race directors. I took it over from him, as well as many other illustrious names within the Doylestown Borough community. In 2007, we welcomed Our Lady Mount Carmel. In 2013, we celebrated our 20th anniversary. And for those of you guys who remember our iconic finish line back in 2017, race proceeds were used to donate that gigantic 80-foot finish line flag to our local fire company here in town. And last year, we are proud to say we were one of the very first events in the borough to return after the COVID restrictions had lifted. And this year, we are incredibly excited that we will be celebrating the return to our full post-race party and looking ahead to next year, which is our 30th anniversary. So you can see one of the early photos down at the bottom there from 1997. And you can see how far we've come from a crowd, and you're good for the next slide when you're ready. So one of the big things that really has become a driving force for our races is creating this absolutely fantastic post-race celebratory atmosphere. So you can see from some of these pictures that the perspiration from our runners is 100% our inspiration for everything we do from the race. You can see different viewpoints from post-race parties, some lovely overheads of that 80-foot flag, as well as our fun run features a wide variety of superheroes each year tackling Doylestown's mightiest mile. We usually welcome about 100, 150 or so fun runners of various ages and abilities and what have you. And each year we are graced by some various Marvel and DC superheroes who come to cheer our folks on, as well as the lovely Lady Liberty, Uncle Sam, and Henry Mercer. And I am regularly found as the bottom left picture with a bullhorn in my hand, screaming as excitedly as I possibly can for every runner who crosses that iconic finish line. You're good for the next one when you're ready. And you can just see from different years' perspective, we've got a wide variety of every type of runner and every type of community group that comes out and supports. We notoriously have a bunch of runners who come in full different regalia. Being a holiday weekend as such, we tend to get a lot of families who are returning to gather together for picnics later in the day and what have you, as well as almost every 4 or so years, we actually have a bride and groom or groom and groom or bride and bride who are getting married locally. So the bottom right picture was actually a couple that was getting married at the Michener Art Museum about 3 hours after our race ended back in 2019, and they came in full outfit. So it's become quite the party from that first year of just shy of 400 runners, and we're excited to welcome everybody back in just a few short weeks. And you're good for the next one. And with that, I'll turn it over to John Abbott.
They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, so. Okay, now we're getting a quick review of all the slides here. So I've got, John, are you going to say a few words about the Chalfont race? Not sure what's going on with the slides. Okay. So I think that pretty much wraps up our presentation. John, were you going to say a few words? You're on mute.
I have break fast still. There's one more race.
Oh, break fast. I'm sorry. I was waiting. With all the
Don't
slides going
forget
every which
me.
way, I was like not sure what was going on.
I get it.
Sorry, Johnny.
Are you ready for me? Was John going to say anything? I think he might be muted.
He is muted.
Does he know how to he's trying to unmute himself.
He needs glasses for that.
There we go. I didn't want to steal his time. Top right corner, John, where it says mute.
Or bottom left, depending on your, where the little microphone is, you see that?
Unmute, how's that?
Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was the, that 1 minute video is why we have the Chalfont Challenge. And I'm not gonna pull any punches, but the Chalfont Challenge is a challenge. If it's a hot and humid day, we really have no shade on the course. Let me briefly lead you through the course. We start the race in the center of our historic district, and the runners will the first third of part of the race, they'll pass the historic firehouse and post office that dates back to the turn of the century, and also run past our current volunteer firehouse, where they usually have an 8x12 flag hanging from the ladder. This first third of the course is flat or downhill, and that's really where runners need to be careful, especially the novice, so that they don't go out too fast, because in the middle third of our race, it's all uphill for a mile. And then the last third of the race, there's a teaser in there. For half a mile, you go downhill, but then for the remaining half mile to the finish line, it's a gradual incline running uphill. We start the race with a honorary race starter, and that's a person who Chalfont recognizes every year. And lastly, I'd like to talk about safety. We are real proud of ourselves on safety of the runners. Some of the things we do is we send a letter out to every resident who lives along the race course, advise them of the time of the race, and that they will not be allowed to enter the course with their automobiles or motorcycles. An hour before the race, as race course director, and I'll jump in the police cruiser, and we'll cruise the course, and we'll remove all and any parked cars that are on the course. And then 30 minutes before the race, we'll give the word to our police chief, and he'll order his staff to shut down the whole borough. We literally shut down the borough shelf out for an hour and a half to any auto traffic. We also have 2 water stops, and because it can be hot and humid, and because there's no shade on the course, we have the aqua tanker truck there for water at the finish line to supplement the 2 water stations we have. Parking, we have oodles of parking on Oak Avenue. We probably fit 200, 300 cars there easy. The head race director is Marilyn Jacobson. I'm the race course director. We've been doing this for over 22 years, and on June 4th of this year, this will be Chalfont's 30th race. So we look forward to seeing everybody. Next.
All righty. See if I can find myself here. Where'd I go?
I was talking and I was on mute the whole time. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Johnny King-Marino to talk about the Break Fast 5K. I was saying it was good that the Chalfont race is at the end of the series. Since it's such a challenging course, everyone should be in really good shape by then.
Yeah, I can't find myself on here. I disappeared. Hold on. There I am. Can you hear me? Hi, everybody. I want to talk to you about the Break Fast 5K, 10K, and 1 mile fun run. And what I like to tell people is the races keep getting better and better and better. In fact, Chris, you should know that my daughter is getting married on the day of your race. So I'm trying to bring my family, and I will be there. I'm not going to let a little thing like my daughter's wedding interfere with a good 5K run. So the races are fabulous. I want you to know the race directors are killing themselves. They're working overtime. They're trying to make this series fabulous, and it has been fabulous, but we set the bar higher and higher every year. So I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on with Break Fast. I'm very excited. We do a lot of the same things every year. Our race features important items like a very challenging 5K course and a 10K course. This year, we added the 1 mile fun run back, and we have as a prize an electric bicycle. Someone will be able to raffle off a beautiful electric bicycle that was graciously donated by John Long and his family. Every runner will get a finisher's medal. It's a very high quality finisher's medal with a ribbon around it. It's not one of those little dinky ones. This thing's serious. You could inflict injury on somebody using this medal. It's very, very serious. If you run with it, you might break your nose if it hits you in the face. So don't use that. The really important feature of the race is pancakes. All right, we have pancakes. Let's see if I can get that in. There, sort of, kind of. Anyway, we have pancakes. These are not just any pancakes. These are the best pancakes. Bamela's gluten-free pancakes, and they are made not with crap. We use only wholesome brown eggs. We use real maple syrup, good stuff. And of course, after that, you have your choice of a soft drink or my favorite breakfast item, Founder's Breakfast Stout, which comes along. Each runner gets either Founder's Breakfast Stout or a bottle, a nice serving of a mimosa. Now, what I found is as the person in the house that does the cooking, for the most part, on Mother's Day, I make sure my wife gets an extravagant celebration, as all moms should. And then on Father's Day, I wind up cooking for everybody as well. So dads get to grill for Father's Day, and then we spoil our wives and mothers for Mother's Day. So dads of the world, stand up for yourself and come and get a free damn breakfast, pancakes, beer, and mimosas. We don't have that anywhere else. So we also have the choice of a 10K, which is kind of a fun deal. It's a 2-lap course for those people who are just tired of running the same 5Ks all the time. So it's really exciting. After the race, we have an award ceremony, and we are very deep with awards. And since there's a 10K and a 5K, you could win one of these fabulous cups. It's a cafe mug. This year's color will be orange. It's a beautiful cup, and it's engraved with all the race logos and things like that. I don't know how well you can see this, and it's backwards, of course. And I forgot to show you, we use real butter. We don't use margarine, only the good stuff, and organic, or the Irish butter. We always do that. So after the race, there's also live music, and there's a big celebration. And we are fortunate enough to host the award ceremony for the series. So there's a beautiful patio in the back. There'll be music. There'll be fun. We have a better microphone system this year because that was a disaster last year. But it's a ton of fun. And the people at the Station Tap House are very gracious. They open the doors to everybody, and people just stay and have a great time. So I encourage everyone to come out to all the races, and then the last race, come out to see us, hang out, party a little bit, bring a couple bucks to tip the bartender, and have a great time. So thank you so much. I hope you guys all sign up, and I'll turn it back over to Paula. Thank you, Paula.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I don't know. We're like 6 minutes after 8 now. Or 5 minutes after 8. I didn't really see any questions that came in. I'm really excited about this series. Every year, it seems like it's getting better and better, and it's so great to be back after COVID, be back live, and just like see the excitement and being together, raising money for a good cause, and celebrating all these great volunteers who put in their time and effort to make this all happen, make Bucks County such a beautiful place to live, and a great community events. Any final comments from anyone, or we'll just wrap it up here?
Paul, I forgot to mention that the race benefits Bucks for Kids, which is for kids in need that need foster parenting, and it's a wonderful organization. Nancy Larkin Taylor's helping us out this year, and it's a wonderful charity. I neglected to mention that.
Well, thank you for adding that. And each of these races raise money for really worthy causes. And Dick mentioned so far the race series has raised over $2 million. Maybe we can double that this soon. So I thank you all for your time, and the recording will be available on events Spine and Sport Health. I probably JKM Health is the new name, right? What is it? JKM Health.
JKMHealth.com. Yes.
We got to update the website to get your new name and logo on there as a title sponsor.
It is.
Is it? Okay. It didn't look like it looked like the old one when I looked at it. So, all right. Well, thank you very much for your time, your attention, all the effort that went into this, and look forward to seeing you all out on the race courses.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks. Bye-bye.